The Leading Edge Cricket Podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, episode 24. I am Rob, one half of the Leading Edge Cricket Podcast, as always joined by my co-host Rich.
Hey Rob, how's it going?
We're doing great, mate. I think I have just gotten over the Division 1 County Championship preview, which seemed to take us a hell of a long time to record, but it's out, it's live.
That was a little bit tricky, wasn't it? It was fun doing it, but we didn't realise how much we were nattering on about the good old Division 1 in the Championship. So hopefully people enjoy it and hopefully get through it. If not, just listen to your team.
Yeah.
And then disagree with us as you please.
Yeah, use the timestamps, and there'll be timestamps available for this to take you through team by team as we work our way through what happened in 2017 and what's going to happen in 2018. So a big announcement, or big little ripple of applause. We've just gone over 350 likes on Facebook.
Ooh.
Yay! Not many people scored more than 350 in a test match. This is nothing similar. This is just people pressing like on Facebook, but 350 is a nice little marker. And we've got a couple more reviews going on. Shankar, apologies. Narayana, fantastic podcast with worldwide cricket focus. Can't wait for your future IPL podcast. 5-star rated review on Facebook. That makes you one of my favourite people in the world. Thank you, Shankar.
Too right. And just worth noting on the IPL, it's up and running at the moment, isn't it? We will be putting something out towards the back end of this week or over the weekend that will catch up with the start of the IPL and all the news that goes with it.
It definitely will. And then there's two comments that kind of stick out on YouTube as well. And again, there's a massive apology going out here. There's the butcher's out with his knife. Sid Chandaran. Finally, an unbiased podcast on cricket. I love your podcast. Please continue this. I am now a huge fan. P.S. Rob is the best.
We did not say P.S. Rob is the best.
He might not have said that last bit, but a really, really nice point. And one of the things we do try and do is go, hey, this is worldwide cricket, and we do try and give an unbiased opinion on cricket. However, levels of knowledge may differ towards English teams and Nottinghamshire teams.
When we say unbiased, I'm going to just say I don't think I'm massively unbiased when it comes to England or if it comes to Nottinghamshire. So I'll try my best, but this isn't the BBC, Rob. I'm going to be a little bit biased.
This isn't the BBC. Production value slightly less than the BBC. So last episode we said, who is the most accurate bowler in one-day cricket of all time in terms of bowling the most consecutive deliveries without bowling a wide? Now, you wouldn't give me a number, Rich, but you did give me a name. Murali.
Yeah.
I have the pleasure of telling you for the third time, you are wrong.
Yay!
Michael Holding holds the unique record of bowling more than 900 overs, 5,473 deliveries if you're counting, in one-day internationals without a single wide.
Wow. I bet they didn't have the leg side wides back then, did they? Or as strict about leg side wides?
No. And you know who's number 2?
Murali.
Probably not. Joel Garner with 5,330. So it's an era thing.
Were the umpires just scared of giving wides against those boys? They were too big and intimidating.
Yeah, I'd say so. Plus, they're probably more accurate. And then there's the other point that the umpires were probably a little bit more unfit and didn't fancy the whole exercise with their arms and just wanted to get into the ball.
Their arms out. Yeah, those were great bowlers. I just missed that era. I think we were both in the same boat, but just looking back on that era, those bowlers were just immense, weren't they?
Intimidating and immense.
Quick. Brilliant.
So, the question for today, this is the thing. Can you take a quick single and get 1 in 4? Are you a 1 in 4 man or are you just a dot ball merchant, Rich? This is the question. So, who is the only player to score 100 runs in each innings of his 100th test match? If you guys know, comment below. Rich, you're on the spot. Who is the man? He gets no prep time on this. He's just put on the spot.
I have no idea. Oh, my word.
It's narrowed down by the fact that it's his 100th test match.
Yeah, but it's like how many people have... I don't even know how many people have played 100 test matches. I can't even think.
39.
39 of them. Oh, my goodness.
I just made that number up, but it sounded pretty good.
Yeah, I like that. I don't know. Did Jack Hobbs make 100 test matches?
Jack Hobbs did not make 100 test matches.
I'm joking. I don't know, mate. I have no idea. In both innings, that's too tricky. I think there's going to be some knowledgeable folks out there that will get it straight off, so I'm going to leave it to them. But I couldn't even get. I might give you an answer as it goes through after I've had a chance to have a look on the internet.
Let's see what Google thinks about that.
Yeah, I mean, once I've had a chance to have a think about it.
Oh, okay, yeah, get it the right way around. But yeah, let's rock and roll. Let's get into the 2018 preview and take a second just to remind ourselves. 2017. It feels like it's been a year.
It pretty much has been, well, almost a year since the last season started.
Incredible. Incredible.
It's incredible how time works. So 2017, Division 2, this is what happened. So we had Worcestershire winning the league, 238 points, 9 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws. Nottinghamshire just about clung on after a brilliant start. They clung on and got promotion as runners-up, 222 points. Richie Beno's favourite number. Northamptonshire were unlucky to miss out in third place, 217. Then we had Sussex, 196. Kent, 175. Gloucestershire, 147 in 6. Glamorgan, 133. Derbyshire down in 8th place, 127. Durham, 98 points. They were relegated the previous season before, weren't they? Obviously on a bit of a technicality with finances, but they really struggled and finished 9th. And Leicestershire did not win a game. The only team in the country not to win a game of cricket. Lost 9, drew 5, 75 points. There is no relegation from Division 2. There probably should be, but that's the way the county game worked. So we saw Worcestershire and Nottinghamshire leaving Division 2 and being promoted into 1. And big boys, Warwickshire, who finished bottom of Division 1, and Middlesex came down. They narrowly were relegated instead of Somerset, who survived. So how it looks this year, alphabetically, is Derbyshire, Durham, Glamorgan, Gloucestershire, Kent, Leicestershire, Middlesex, Northamptonshire, Sussex, and Warwickshire. Right then, Rob, let's get underway then. So just before we do that, it's just worth mentioning, we're going to try and keep it to about 5 minutes per team so we don't go on forever and ever and ever like we did for the Division 1. So with that in mind, let's get underway. Let's start the clock, Rob.
It's gone.
Derbyshire. They finished 8th last season in 2017. Captain this year, Billy Godleman in the Championship and the One Day Cup, with Gary Wilson, the Scotsman, doing the T20. Overseas play, they brought in Dwayne Oliveira, the South African quick, for the first half of the season. They were set to get Mitch Santner, the Kiwi all-rounder, for the second half, but because of his injury, he's no longer coming over, so they're going to be in the market for another overseas player. New signings. Who have they brought in, Rob? Ravi Rampal, Surrey. Nice. I don't think I was particularly pleasant about him the other day, but he's come in. He'll be a good signing for them. Who have they lost? It's a group of young fellas, to be honest with you. No real big names. Tom Taylor, Tom Milnes, Greg Cork, Dominic Cork's son, and a Shiv Thakur, he was a good, decent player for them, but he's got himself messed up into some weird stuff. Really, should be buoyed by the return of coaches Dominic Cork and John Wright, but more for the T20. Kim Barnett, the old Derbyshire legend, in charge of them. Potentially exciting team. Again, they've got some young blokes, but it's going to be a tough year, Rob. Shall we just have a quick look at the squad?
Yeah, let's get stuck into the squad. Who they got?
Who they got? Billy Godleman, Gary Wilson, Wayne Madsen, that's a name we know, Dwayne Oliveira, Antonio Palladino, the ex-Essex player, Alex Hughes, Rampal, Hardis Villione, Lewis Rees, Callum Broderick, Darren Smith, Harvey Hussain, another James Taylor, but not the James Taylor, Matt Critchley, who we're going to talk about in a minute, Ben Slater, Alfie Gledall, Will Davis, an up-and-coming bowler, and Hamidullah Kadri. So that's Derbyshire. Let's pick up where we want to pick up with those boys. Rob, what do you want?
I'm going to start with possibly the greatest name as an overseas player, or as a Hardis Viljoen. Or CJ Viljoen. 29 years old, he's played Test cricket for South Africa, got 1 for 94 on his debut, hasn't played since, but 400 first-class wickets, predominantly for Derbyshire and in the South African cricket for Eastern and for the Lions. Average of 26 with the ball. Very, very exciting bowler, tall and fast, and just a cracking name.
Yeah, always good to have a good name, isn't it? Yeah, that's what gets attention for us, isn't it?
It is.
He's going to be key, isn't he? Wayne Madsen, he's been around for, it seems like, an age, buddy. He's got to be a key man for them as well.
Yeah, Wayne Madsen, plenty of experience. 667 runs last year at an average of 30. Getting on in years, 34, almost 35, still looks quite young. And he's played forever and a day at Derbyshire, to be honest. 150 plus first-class games just for the one county. 10,000 first-class runs. Experience you cannot buy.
Yeah, totally, absolutely. And Billy Godleman, he falls into that category as well.
He does. It's exciting, Billy Godleman. A few years ago, he was highly touted when he was at Middlesex. 800 runs last year, an average of 40. Career average of only 32. So he's really just starting to come into his own as a first-class cricketer. He'll want to see that average go above 40 this year, for what will be one of the first times in his career where he's put out those numbers. But there's always been something about him that has made, one, Middlesex interested in him for so many years, and two, Derbyshire.
Yeah. So they're some of the key players. Young players up and coming. We've got Will Davis as a bowler, right arm, medium fast. Bowler who's a 22-year-old. A bit of injury, I think, last year after making his debut the year before. So there's big expectations for him. And also Matt Critchley, who's caught the eye this year, became the youngest centre maker for Derbyshire in 2015 at the age of 19. He's 21 now. And he had a bit of a time of it with England Lions and especially with the North. Really destructive batsman, very exciting talent.
Yeah, he looks a solid player. And again, last year, still finding his feet in cricket. 260 runs, an average of 38. Couple of wickets at an average of 33, but doesn't really count for much. His career average, 32 with the bat and 106 with the ball. So there's room to manoeuvre, but the fact is, North versus South, he was there. He got 64, 25 not out, and 2 for 46 with the ball. He'll be looking to keep growing as a cricketer.
Yeah, the 64 not out was in short time as well, and he's wintered away. Before all his time with the England Lions, he was wintering away with Stuart McGill in Australia, picking up the tips and learning, a bit more about his leg spin bowling. So I'm sure he'll be coming back. At that sort of age, players really do grow quickly, don't they?
They do.
So big expectations for him. The odds for Derbyshire, 20-1, outsiders. Not going to be talking about them in the Championship going up, should I say, for the win. They're going to be struggling, but we shall see where they'll end when we predict the final places. Right, on to Durham. Durham, decent county, big county. Obviously, they've had a lot of success, but then they've struggled in recent years and were relegated into Division 2. So they finished 9th last season in Division 2. So that's a tough old time for them. They still have Paul Collingwood as captain in the county championship. He's 41 now. I think that's correct. 41. Still doing it, still bringing it. And for the One Day Cup and T20, the captain is Tom Latham, the Kiwi overseas player. So overseas, we've got Aidan Markram. He's coming over April to mid-May. What an amazing pickup. I think if this hadn't been done so soon, somebody else, one of the Division 1 boys, would have picked this guy up. He's a star.
Yep.
Tom Latham, as we said, he's coming across once Markram leaves, and he's coming from mid-May to the end of the season. Who's come and joined him? Will Smith. He's joined from Hampshire. He was a Durham University boy. He played a bit at Durham. He was a Notts man as well when he was younger. They've also signed Victorian Nathan Rimington. He comes across. He's an Aussie, but he's come across on a British passport. So he'll be a nice pickup for them. They've lost the players. This is the key. They've lost Keaton Jennings, Graham Onions, and young up-and-coming star all-rounder Paul Coughlin. Massive, massive losses to the county. They have... like I said, they have replaced him with one or two, but it's still going to be a tough one for them. The Markram signing is just top class. That's going to help. Let's have a look at the squad, Rob. Let's see how they stack up.
Yep.
So, Markram's there, Will Smith, Paul Collingwood, as we mentioned, Graham Clark, we'll talk about him shortly, Jack Burnham, Michael Richardson, Nathan Rimington, Cameron Steele, one of the brilliant names, Ryan Pringle, Gavin Main, Chris Rushworth, key player there, who we'll talk about, James Wayhill or something, Josh Coughlin, Mark Wood, the English international obviously, Matthew Potts, Ben Stokes, the big name, George Harding, Tom Latham, Barry McCarthy, Liam Travaskis, Stuart Poynter, Gareth Hart and Bryden Cars. So, where do we look at from that? So, should we look at a couple of the... I'll let you choose, Rob.
Yeah, I want to start with Will Smith, because Will Smith's returning to Durham after a bit of a stay away, right? He played a bit of Hampshire seconds, he played at Nottinghamshire for a few years, but he's a Durham lad through and through. He went to university there. He's an opening batsman who's been brought in with a key goal, which will probably be to open in cricket, but he's a former Durham captain and integral part of what was done there for so many years, so he'll be looking to make a statement coming back into it at the age of 35.
Yeah, and it's the experience they need, isn't it? We've spoken about it a lot with a lot of counties, but this is a very inexperienced squad, and this is why people like Paul Collingwood are still playing. They understand the struggles. You've got Ian Botham in as the chairman of the club now. It's a massive rebuild from top to bottom, from the tea lady to the opening bat. It's a real difficult time for Durham. So they need those experienced lads, and Will Smith, it's probably a bit of a a heart return, isn't it? He's really loving the opportunity to come and help out.
He will be. And you touched on Collingwood as well. 41, he'll be 42 by the time May rolls around. But the reason he's coming back to play is the fact that he scored 1,087 runs last season, fifth most in the division at an average of 49.40, and was the top scorer in this team. That's why he's back. He doesn't turn his arm over quite as much, just 77 overs. But 21 maidens out of 77 overs. He's come in, he's done a bit of a fill job. He would love it if there was a young lad in this team that could come and take over being the top run scorer.
Yeah, well, one name that could potentially do that is Cameron Steele, Rob. He's starting to make a name for himself.
Yeah, that is a great name to make a name for yourself. Cameron Steele.
Cameron Steele.
Now, here's a question for you. I asked you lots of trivia. Where was he born? Give me a country name. I bet you get it wrong.
Greenland.
No. United States of America. Cameron Steele.
USA.
Educated in Perth. Played Western Australia under 15s, 17s, moved across to Somerset, and now he's finding himself in the county mixer. 13 games last year, 900 runs at an average of 40, which was the 9th best in the division. A first-class average of 39 from 19 games, and he's the youngest double centurion for Durham at the age of 21.
That's not bad. What about Graham Clark? He's another guy that's coming up on the scene.
Yeah, another good young player. 12 games last year, 770 runs at an average of 36. You can't say that's a poor return. He's 25 years old. He's slightly older than what we expect. He's got brothers who have played top-level cricket as well. He's just gone past 1,000 first-class runs at an average of 30. But Durham's giving opportunities to guys this year. There's opportunity for people to stand up and make it count, and he's one who'll be looking to solidify himself in that middle order.
Yeah, absolutely. And then they're going to be boosted, obviously, by Aidan Markram coming at the start of the season. He'll be opening the batting, obviously. There isn't a more informed batsman in world cricket at the moment, in my opinion. That's a bold claim with Virat Kohli, obviously. But Aidan Markram has been a stud in the series against Australia. Fantastic player. He's going to do so well. I hope anyway he shows what he can do. With the ball then, we spoke about, we've got Victorian Nathan Rimington over here on a UK passport. We've got Chris Rushworth still. We've got Mark Wood, the English bowler, that I think will be available quite a bit for Durham at fitness, hoping. So just what about those guys? What about the bowling attack?
Rushworth's absolute top draw county cricketer. 359 wickets, 100 games. Average of 24, strike rate of 48. He's just as good as it gets. He's a former PCA Player of the Year, the top wicket taker in Division 1 with 83 wickets at 20 a few years back. Never quite to the point where he's able to go on and play at a different standard, but at this level, he is as good a county cricketer as what you're going to see.
Absolutely. So they should start well. I think with Markram coming in, that should be a massive boost for them. They should be able to score runs depending on the conditions. They've got some promising young players. It's going to be a tough season again. It all depends on the availabilities, but the odds 16 for 1. So again, it's going to be a struggle. Mid-table, I can't see them competing at the top, but they'll certainly have a better year than last year. But it's all going to be who steps up to replace those massive players in Onions, Jennings, and Coughlin. Right, on to Glamorgan. They finished 7th last year. They are captained by ex-Australian Michael Hogan in the county championship. They've also got Colin Ingram coming over to look after them for the One Day Cup and the T20. Overseas player, he's signed on for 2 years actually, is the experienced Aussie batsman Sean Marsh. So that's great to have that consistency and that that long-term contract. They've not really brought anyone in, but they have lost Jacques Rudolph, the experienced South African. That will be a big loss for them, but Marsh should fill that hole. Middle-of-the-road team, really. Inexperienced. They did have a finals day appearance at the T20. Otherwise, not the greatest year all in all. Tough year ahead, I'd imagine, but young batsmen, they're going to be looking to Sean Marsh to support them. So let's just go through the squad. There's a few names we might recognise here. Graham Wagg, that's a name that's been around seemingly forever. David Lloyd, Nick Selman, Jeremy Lawler, Jack Murphy, Kieran Bull, Craig Macheda, who was at Somerset for a period, Chris Cook, Andrew Salter, Michael Hogan, Anna Donald, Rydri Smith, I'm not sure about that name, Tim van der Gugten, Colin Ingram, Owen Morgan, Lucas Carey, Kieran Carlson, and Marchant de Lang. Interesting name there, Rob. So shall we start with the bowlers and start with DeLange and maybe Hogan?
Yeah, DeLange's a decent one. He bowls about 140 clicks, short run-up, tall. He's over 2 metres tall, so he can really wang it down. Not the sort of guy you want to be facing. 27 years of old, played South Africa, Barbados, Easons, Guyana, Kolkata, Mumbai Indians, Pretoria, South African Academy Titans. He's a bit of a journeyman, but he's 27. He's still good. He's still fast. 263 wickets at an average of 29. Useful bowler. I'd rather him be on my team.
Yeah, absolutely. And Michael Hogan as well. He's going to be captaining the championship side this year. He's just been such a consistent performer for them.
Yeah, he has 50 wickets last year, 84 maidens, average of 20.88 with the ball. Just real top-notch sort of cricketer. There aren't many that's in the same category as him.
Yeah, totally. Looking at the other side of it then, we've got Sean Marsh. That's obviously the key signing for them. They're going to be looking for him, and I'm going to put a prediction out there that he ends up being the top run scorer in Division 2.
No one's going to question that at all. He's a consistent performer in any form of cricket. He's a great T20 player. He's a good Test match player, good one-day player. Averages 40 in state cricket in Australia. He averages just shy of 40 in Test match cricket. You could insert him into any Division 1 team and he would make it better.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Lucas Carey, this is one I think we're saying a bit of a one for the future, but he's only 20. But he's taken a few wickets, fast medium seam bowler.
Yeah, he's not a bad cricketer at all. 48 wickets in his career and an average of 28. It's not a bad position to find yourself in. Just played the 10 games last season, but his strike rate of 46 kind of offsets the 3.87 economy rate. But what you've got to remember is this wasn't a great team last year, and a lot of the bowlers had high economy rates.
Yeah. Anyone else you want to pick out of this squad, Rob?
I think Chris Cook's... Yeah, he's the leader. 695 runs at an average of 43 last year. He's good, he's experienced, he's another South African. It amazes me when you get into these teams how many of them are born in South Africa, more than possibly the England team of about 6 years ago.
It can't be true, surely not.
Oh, I'm afraid it is. But again, just a good play. He's as good a batsman as what this team have got. He didn't set the world alight last year, but just consistent. 450s and 100 out of the 12 games that he played.
Yeah. One other name that's just popped up in my mind here as well, Tim van der Gugten. What an impressive name. Again, you know how we love our names on this podcast. In 2016, he was the club's player of the year, 82 wickets in all formats. He's a Netherlands-Dutch international. So that's another player that's obviously they're going to be looking to as an experienced performer.
Yeah, very, very solid player. Another one is NJ Selman, 22 years old, born Nick. Yeah, you could just call him Nick, but I love initials in cricket. 22 years old, born in Brisbane, Queensland. Played Queensland, played for Glamorgan, Glamorgan 2s and Kent 2s, so English qualified or going that way. He's a former Australian rugby footballer at state level and in his age group, but his first class stats last year were quite remarkable. 14 games, 872 runs, but the one thing that sets him apart from some of the other players is 4 centuries scored. So there's some fails, but a man that can score centuries is absolutely critical to the success of a team.
Yeah, they've got some good players, but could be a tough year, but we'll see. Odds 14-1. Again, the bookie's saying that they're going to be middle of the road, so we shall see. Glamorgan, that's them in the books. Moving on to Gloucestershire. They finished 6th last season, so a similar season to Glamorgan. Their captain, the new captain, Chris Dent, in the Championship and the One Day Cup. To be confirmed for the 2020, who the captain's going to be. The overseas players are bringing in an Australian seamer, Daniel Worrell. He's coming in from April, start of the year to about July. And then for the T20, they've got Andrew Tye, the fellow Australian, and also Michael Klinger, who potentially may captain that as well. It all depends on his personal situation, though. There is 1 or 2 things going on, so that's to be confirmed. New signing, they brought in a powerful all-rounder from Middlesex, 22-year-old all-rounder Ryan Higgins. They've lost, they haven't really lost him, but Jack Taylor has been banned from bowling for a year because of his action. So that's going to be a bit of a loss from them. That's not the first time he's had it, which is why the year's there. So didn't really see any improvement last year. Batting, they were really carried by Chris Dent. Bowling is where they were a little bit stronger. I wouldn't say they're quite ready to compete yet, Rob, but let's just talk through Gloucestershire a little bit and who's the keys. Should we start with Dent?
Yeah, let's start with Dent. He's captain, so he's got something about him. 894 runs last season, average of 42, 200 750s, so reeks of consistency and really coming of age. Occasional wicketkeeper as well, averages 38 in his career from 115 games. And he's a Gloucestershire lifer. I like that. I like it when you see someone come in and work their way through the system, play for this one county, and then he'll go on and be captain. Beautiful to see.
Yeah. Anything else in that batting that catches your eye?
I think the young lad Bracey, James Bracey, came in last year, right? 4 games, 6 innings, 370 runs, scored 100, averaged 74. He is 20 years old at the moment. He's only had 9 first-class games to his account. Averages 41, almost 500 runs. And this is the sort of player you want to see given a chance. And he's taken it with 2 hands last season, so he'll be given more responsibility this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're 2 key players. That Bracey is another exciting talent, isn't he, in English cricket? So let's just catch up and let's see the rest of the squad, and then we'll look further. So we've got Chris Dent, Michael Klinger to be confirmed, Benny Howell, the 30-year-old all-rounder, born in France, Ian Cobain, Liam Norwell, David Payne, Craig Miles, Gareth Roderick, Ryan Higgins, as we mentioned, the newcomer, Matt Taylor, Jack Taylor, Chris Liddell, Tom Smith, Will Tavare, Miles Hammond, Kieran Noma Barnett, George Hankins, Dan Worrell, the Aussie another Victorian, and Graham Van Buren, South African, so I assume he's another Kolpak, James Bracey, wicketkeeper batsman, Andrew Tye. It's just worth mentioning the staff as well. Head coach Richard Dawson, the ex-England spinner, ably assisted by Ian Harvey, the Australian, and on the staff as well now is Chris Rogers. So they're well backed up off the field as well. Very,
very well backed up. Having someone like Chris Rogers when you've got good young batsmen in your team, that's invaluable. But the team are desperately going to miss. They had Bancroft last year, right? That's a guy who scored 700 runs and averaged 40 for them. Mm. So that's going to be a big loss. So some of these guys are going to have to stand up because the bowling outweighed the batting last year.
Yeah, talking to the bowler then. So big Cornishman, Liam Norwell. He was Player of the Year last season. Let's tell people about Liam Norwell, Rob.
Yeah, cracking cricketer. 11 games, 59 wickets, almost double what anyone else was near to him. An average of 17 and a strike rate of 32. 26 years old, looks a bit like the Shermanator off American Pie. I'm just putting it out there.
I like that. He was actually called up for the North v South series, but injury prevented him from going across with the team. So obviously he's catching the eye. David Payne, Craig Miles, experienced, good, decent bowling group for Division 2. Anyone else jumping out from that side of the ball?
I think Daniel Worrell's a decent signing for them. Guy has played one-day international cricket for Australia, just for 3 games, but has 1 wicket at an average of 171 to his name. But you take his first-class stats, averages under 30 in state cricket in Australia when playing for South Australia. So he's a decent player. And Craig Mills, you mentioned him, or Miles, 23 years old he is, so not much on the tank there, but 27 wickets last year. The average was slightly up at 36. The economy rate was slightly up. But that's not the point. It's a guy that's coming in, taking wickets, and he's young.
Yeah. Benny Howell, he stepped up to opening the bat last season, I believe. I might be wrong there, but he is there. And, he's an economical bowler as well, the all-rounder. So it's going to be interesting to see how they get on. Let's have a look at the stats. So we've got 20-1. So again, similar to Derbyshire. So it's going to be a tough year for Gloucestershire, but it all depends. We keep saying it with every team. 1 or 2 players grow, come forward, it could be a way better year for them. Moving on to Kent, who finished 5th last season, mid-table finish for them. They've captained now in all formats by Sam Billings, the England international. He replaces Sam Northeast, who obviously has moved on to Hampshire, that big name transfer. Overseas players, Sam Billings is going to be supported by Kiwi seamer Matt Henry for the first half of the season. Big signing. And then in the T20, they've picked up Marcus Stoinis and Adam Milne. So Stoinis, the Aussie all-rounder, and Adam Milne, he's another Kiwi. They've also been able to bring in Heino Kuhn, the South African on a Kolpak, 33-year-old opener. He actually played South African international, Test match cricket not that long ago. So that's a nice pickup for them. And also Harry Podmore, an up-and-coming player, has come across from Middlesex. They've lost out, though, Sam Northeast, as I said, and also Matt Cole. So that's two really big holes in this team that they need to replace. So let's have a look at the squad. There's some really good names that we want to talk about here. So Sam Billings, Daniel Bell-Drummond, a personal favourite of mine, Alex Blake, Mitch Claydon, Zach Crawley, Joe Denley, who's just finished a stint in the PSL, Sean Dixon, Will Gidman, who's returned after a little spell at Nottinghamshire. He's joined after a little spell at Nottinghamshire. He was at Gloucestershire previously. Callum Haggart, Matt Henry, Matt Hunn, Heino Kuhn, Adam Milne for the T20, Harry Podmore, Imran Kayum, Adam Riley, Oliver Robinson, Adam Rouse, and then Marcus Dornis, and then last, not quite last, Grant Stewart, Ivan Thomas, James Treadwell, and last but not least, Darren Stevens.
I don't think you can talk about Kent without talking about Darren Stevens, can you? Former Leicestershire player, spent heaps and heaps of time down there, moved across, played a bit of England Lions, but he's 42 years old by the time the season gets underway. He is just the guy for this team. He got 700 runs last year at an average of 42, but more importantly, 62 wickets with the ball, twice as many as the next guy in line.
Yeah, I look at this team and I say that they've got some nice batting. I love Bell-Drummond as a player. Joe Denley's kind of just settled into himself now, hasn't he? He's a solid cricketer. There are others around, but who's taking the wickets? You've got the big Kiwi bowler, Matt Henry. Obviously, you've just mentioned Stephen. Will Gidman. Talk to me about the bowling, Rob.
Bowling, it's a problem area for them in my eyes because Darren Stevens did so much for them last year with 62 wickets. They've got James Harris, former Glamorgan player, started playing cricket very, very young at the first class level, already gone past 400 wickets. He's 27 years old, average of 29. They'll be hoping for a big season from him. And then there's Matt Claydon as well. He got 23 wickets last year. They're going to miss Coles in the team. The bowling is the weak link for this team.
Yeah, I mean, Matt Henry's going to help, isn't he? He's going to be that number one seamer, and then they can bowl around him, which makes a massive difference if you're bringing in a number one rather than bringing in a 2 or a 3. So I think that's going to help them. Right, on to the batting for Ken. I think that's where they impress me more so. Obviously, Sam Billings heading up as captain, more of a limited overs player, but he's still there or thereabouts in Championship. Joe Denley, he's been their star in recent years. He's had a really good winter as well in the PSL. But Daniel Bell-Drummond, he's a player that I really like. Doesn't have the best average, about 35. Didn't score a century last year, but he's wintered well with the Lions this year, scored some runs. And I saw him score some runs last summer as well for the England Lions against South Africa A. So he's a player that I really think really should be in consideration and being talked about for an England test spot. But he does need to, those early season runs, all important early season runs is what he needs to go out and get.
Yeah, he's a top quality player. I know he's one of your favourites. I just want him to take that next step in county cricket. That space is up for grabs. We talk about it so much. The space is there. He's one of the highly touted players. 24 years old. Everything to play for this season for him.
Yeah, he has the technique, and for me, he has the temperament. It's whether or not he can go on and score the runs. That's all he needs to do now. It sounds simple, doesn't it?
It is. It's an easy game on paper cricket. It's just go and average 50, mate. That's all you've got to do to get there. But this Kent team is strong. Joe Denley has turned himself into a top player. 1,165 runs at an average of 55 last year. 4 centuries. Absolutely superb. Third most in the division. And you can pretty much with Joe Denley go, oh, okay, so England career's probably been and gone now. He's 32, he's almost 33. Time to solidify himself as a top-class, first-class player. And he's coming off a great PSL where he got big runs for Karachi.
Yeah, he did really well in that tournament. And one other player I just want to mention as well, Harry Podmore, the new signing who's come across from Middlesex, Rob. He's an up-and-comer. Yeah,
he has plenty of time at Middlesex. Played under 15, 17, second 11, and then time at Middlesex. But the one thing he struggled at Middlesex was to really nail down a spot in that first team. And he spent time out on loan, unfortunately. And his time just kind of came to an end, and now he's got an opportunity. He's going to a new county, and going to a new county is quite often what invigorates a player to to sort out the career and go to the next step. You saw people, old-timers like Ryan Sidebottom, come to Notts and for 4 or 5 years be absolutely stellar when it looked like he was slowing down at a different county. And it's the same for a young player who hasn't quite had the opportunities. Go away, bowl fast, score runs, whatever it might be. New county is a fresh start.
Yeah, definitely. The odds for Kent then 7-1. That means I would say they're going to be in the conversation for the top of the league, but we shall see. So that's Kent. On to Leicestershire. They propped up Division 2 last season in 10th position. Will it be another season of similar? They are captained by new signing Michael Carberry, the Old England and Kent opener. Big signing, that is. Cracking signing. I think he came on loan to them last year, so much will be expected of him this season. Overseas, they were supposed to be joined by Sohail Khan, but he's now been replaced by Varun Arun for the start of the season. Mohammed Abbas as well, the Pakistani seamer, is coming across. So the bowling attack is going to be bolstered by those overseas players. They also have Afghanistan Mohammed Nabi coming across for the T20. So apart from Carberry, they've also brought in Atiq Javid, the off-spinner, more of a one-day player from Warwickshire, and also Tom Taylor from Derbyshire, a young fella. Big loss in the bowling department now. Aussie Clint Mackay has moved on after a few years. He took 199 wickets for Leicestershire over the last few years or so. So huge miss for him. Paul Nixon is now the coach. The overseas players give excitement for Leicestershire, but it could be a bit of a struggle, Rob. But let's start about Carberry, shall we?
Yeah, Carberry's a class act. He's obviously had his health scares over the years. And never quite clicked as a test match cricketer. Was given 6 test matches for England, averaged 28.75 in a very, very difficult series against the Aussies. Just a top player. Absolutely love watching him bat. I can remember he got that big 300 coming back off, I think it was a heart problem. He got 300 not out. He's scored 150 not out in a List A game, and he's got a T20. He's a 3-format star for this team.
Yeah, he is there by head and shoulders their star man, isn't he, if you take away the overseas players. So let's just look at the rest of their squad. Colin Ackerman, Adil Ali, Zach Chappell, Mark Cosgrove still going, the old Aussie, Harry Dearden, Cam Delport, Neil Dexter, Ned Eckersley, Sam Evans, Gavin Griffiths, Lewis Hill, Paul Horton, Atiq Javid, Richard Jones, Dieter Klein, Mohammed Nami, as we mentioned, Callum Parkinson, we'll talk about in a moment, Mark Bettini, Rob Sayer, Harry Swindles, Tom Taylor, Tom Wells, and also Ben Rain. There's another player we want to talk about. So, Rob, I'll let you pick where to start here.
I've got to start with Parkinson, right? 21 years old now. That means he was 20 last season. Incredibly, all-rounder. Played 5 games last year, averaged 51 with the bat. Very, very good.
Nice.
Throw on top of that, 17 wickets at an average of 32 with the ball, bowling left arm slow. So very, very talented player. 31 wickets in his career and almost 200 runs in his career. Decent player. Looking forward to seeing him being given more opportunities to play more games in the upcoming season. And the other one we need to talk about really is Rain. Ben Rain, 26 years old. He had a cracker of a season last year. 33 wickets at an average of 23, which topped the team. Doesn't say a lot, but it topped the team. 156 wickets in his career, an average of 29. He spent time in Durham, being a northern lad, and he spent time at Leicester. He's a decent player, and he can give it a good strike with the bat as well.
Yeah, absolutely. He's looking like he could potentially be one of their key players, certainly in the up and coming one to watch category. Anyway,
yeah.
So what else? What do we think about his squad? I think it's going to be another year of struggle. Odds of 28 for 1. I think that kind of tells us where we are with them. They've still got the old boy Cosgrove. They've still got hope, haven't they, Rob?
They've still got hope. The thing about Cosgrove that gets me, he's only 33 years old. I feel like he's been around forever.
43 at least. No chance.
Very, very early doors, he was dismissed as an Australian cricketer, to be fair. He was never going to make it, didn't quite fit the mould, even though he's a fantastic first-class cricketer, averages 42, 14,000 first-class runs in 195 games. That's absolutely top draw. He's played for Australia, Glamorgan, Leicester, South Australia, Sydney Sixers, Tasmania. He's absolutely top of the pops when it comes to them. But there are a couple of lads along the way who may do all right for themselves. There's a guy here called Lewis Hill, who didn't set the world alight last year, but will be hoping for more. 527 runs at 32.93. But when we say that, we're talking about a team that was absolutely shambolic. Bottom of the table. There's no lower that can get them where they were last year. He's their keeper, averages 25 overall. But he showed promise last year. He started to move on, started to up his average. I feel like I'm almost picking at straws a little bit with this team, but the older guys that they've got aren't bad cricketers. Cosgrove, not a bad cricketer. The overseas players, not bad cricketers. Paul Horton's there, averages 36, 10,000 first-class runs. He's come across from Lancashire in the last few years. He can do something for them. But I look at the stats from last year and they're not quite there. Horton averaged 26. The runs, the output, just aren't good enough outside of Cosgrove and Parkinson.
Another year of struggle, I would imagine. Sorry, Leicestershire. So Middlesex, they were relegated last season into Division 2, finished 7th, so just one from bottom. They're captained this season by England international Dawid Malan in all forms of competition. But equally as important man really for them this season is going to be Sam Robson as vice captain, because if Milan is playing as well as he has done, he's not going to be around Middlesex and Lords very often. Overseas players, they've brought in Ashton Agar for the T20, but they've also brought in more recently, if you remember saying they weren't going to have an overseas player, they've brought in Hilton Cartwright, who I like to call Hamilton Cartwright, an Australian. So he's going to be over for the whole season. Well, for the start of the season and probably a little bit more as well. They've lost Harry Podmore to Kent and they've lost Ryan Higgins for Gloucester, who we've just talked about. So a couple of misses there. But they've got a really strong squad. They're going to be competing at the right end of the table. Let's roll through the squad because it's a big squad and there's plenty of big names here. So a couple of young lads first, Martin Anderson, Ethan Bamber, and it's Tom Barber, Nick Compton, the ex-England player, Stefan Eskenazi, Stephen Finn, James Franklin, the Kiwi, James Fuller, Nick Gubbins, who we'll talk about, James Harris, Tom Helm, Max Holden, Tom Lace, Dawid Malan, Owen Morgan's there, Tim Murtagh, Ravi Patel, Ollie Rayner, another player that's worth talking about, Sam Robson, Toby Rowland-Jones, George Scott, John Simpson, Nathan Sota, Paul Sterling, the Irishman, and Robbie White. A big squad. I'm not sure we'll see all of those.
Very big squad. I think if we break it down from the batting, you've got to start at the top and you've got to go Sam Robson. Sam Robson, who scored a Test match 100, didn't quite kick on, only averaged 30 in Test match cricket, but last year he was the top of the pops for this team. 785 runs at a touch under 40 in a team that got relegated is not a bad return at all. Again, with Dawid Malan being in a position of power and playing for England, I expect to see him doing a lot of captaincy this year.
Yeah, Nick Gubbins, he's one of the names I want you to talk about, though. He's an exciting prospect and someone that's going to be in the international conversation.
Yeah, Gubbins is great. Had an average year. Did pick up 100 last year, but averaged 25 with the bat. But like we've said, a relegated team, nobody comes out of it doing too great. But Gubbins, 47 first-class matches, 24 years old. Very posh. He's from Richmond in Surrey, but actually went to Leeds Bradford Uni, which I'm a big fan of. Averages 35 in first-class cricket, 500s to his names, and got back-to-back hundreds in that North versus South games, as well as a 50 in the England Lions game, several 50s. So he's putting himself right in the position. We spoke about him. You're a big fan of him. I like him. He's going to be up there in the conversation, and just go score runs, mate. It's as easy as it is on paper.
Yeah, that's what he did in 2016. 1,400 runs in the county championship, the average is 61. So he's a player on the up. So anyone else in the batting take your eye straight away? Or should we jump onto the bowlers?
I think Milan's going to be a big miss for them. He's a very, very decent player. The other one you could talk about is Paul Sterling, 27 years old, Irish. I love this. Played for Ireland under 13s, 15s, 17s, 19s, under 23s, Ireland main team. Middlesex.
Yeah, he's definitely Irish.
He's definitely Irish, and he can absolutely leather a cricket ball. Absolutely top striker at a cricket ball. How well he does this year, I don't know. His stats just aren't quite up to the top level. He averaged 34 last year, which is a good year for him. He averages less than that generally in first-class cricket. And as well as that, they've got Nick Compton, another former England opener, 34 years old now. He was a decent opener for England, but again, one of these guys that averaged between 25 and 30, never could go on. Nicknames: Compo, Ledge, Chesser. That is all.
Let's move on. On to the bowling. Bowling they seem to be stocked. I didn't realise what bowling they had. Tim Murtagh, Toby Rowland-Jones, Steve Finn, obviously James Franklin, the all-rounder. But Tom Helm, that's a name that I would like people to be aware of.
Yeah, 19 wickets last year, average of 31, 3.58 economy rate, strike rate of 50-odd, 23 years old, Buckinghamshire lad, played English Lions cricket as well. 47 wickets overall, an average of 31. Medium fast, got a bit about him. He's got a few 5-wicket hauls to his name. He's that young lad in this team that you go, oh, okay, so you've got James Franklin, you've got Tim Murtagh, you've got international caliber players around you. Soak it up, buddy. Soak up all that experience and look to better yourself.
Yeah, they'll be ably assisted. Toby Rowland-Jones as well coming back, because obviously would have been in the Ashes squad if it wasn't for injury, so that's a big one coming back, and he'll be hoping to hit the ground running and try and take advantage of the question marks in the England squad. Overall, though, Middlesex relegated with 13 defeats. They need to be a tougher team to beat first. Obviously, like you said, Robson's going to be key. It's got to be a promotion spot. They've got to be looking to go back up. You can't really have Lords playing Division 2 cricket, but they've got to earn it. 15-8 is the odds. Young players make this an exciting squad in my book, and they should be competing at the right end of the table. So Northamptonshire, we're nearly there. We're getting through. They finished third last year, just narrowly missing out on promotion. Captain in all formats by Alex Wakely. Overseas this year, we've got Doug Bracewell, the Kiwi all-rounder, coming over in April. Rory Kleinveld is then coming over mid-May to the end of the season. They've also got Sakuja Prasanna, the quick bowler from Sri Lanka for the T20. The strength of the squad this year: Brett Hutton's come across from Nottinghamshire, Luke Proctor from Lancashire, a couple of good solid signings there. They've also got a strange one, Ricardo Vassalencelas, a South African with a Portuguese passport. He's a 20-year-old wicketkeeper. That's an interesting one, very strange. They've lost David Murphy to retirement, and also that famous name Mohammed Azarullah, he's also moved on. Lost out on promotion on last day of the season, slow and steady progress over the last couple of years under coach David Ripley. I think they're going to compete this year, Rob. Kick us off, or do you want me to run through the squad?
Run through the squad first, and then I'm going to pick it apart.
Pick it apart. Right. Josh Cobb, Stephen Crook, Ben Duckett, Richard Gleeson, one of our favourites, Rob Keogh, Rory Kleinveld, Richard Levi, Rob Newton, Adam Rossington, Ben Sanderson, Tom Sowell, Alex Wakely, Graham White, the ex-knock spinner, Saif Saeeb, someone we might just mention in a minute, Sakuja Prasanna, Nathan Buck, Gareth Wade, Brett Hutton, and Luke Proctor.
Okay. So I'm gonna say this team is a very strong bowling team, and when I look at the stats from last year, 39 bowling points, 29 batting points. It doesn't take a genius to go, why didn't they get promoted? Well, it's the fact that they had the third worst amount of batting points in the division. Bowling wise, one of your favourites, Richard Gleeson, who we did a 5-minute spell on the other day, 40 wickets last year, an average of 18, Rich.
Solid, mate. Good name as well. Great name, Richard.
The rich get richer. B.W. Sanderson. Again, 40 wickets last year.
As Ben.
Yes. Yeah, call him by his real name, not initials. I don't call you R, do I? But solid player. 2016, 55 wickets at 21 apiece, and then had a great season last year. And Kleinfeld, the old man, 35 years old. We've had older. He's an old man at 35. Sorry, everyone above 35. I'm just below that, But he's a great cricketer. He played 3 formats at the international standard, 436 wickets at 27 in first-class cricket across the world. And last year, 50 wickets and an average of 21 with the bat.
Yeah, Nathan Buck as well. He's going to help. It was that bowling attack that really propelled them up the league at the end of the season. Just missed out to Nottinghamshire getting promoted. But yeah, the bowling attack is what's going to propel them. Strengthened again by Brett Hutton. Big opportunity for Brett Hutton. Decent bowler, big strapping fella, isn't he? He hits the deck hard. He can bat a little bit as well, so that's a nice pickup for them. On the batting side, Rob, Alex Wakely, the captain, he's been key for them over the last few years.
Yeah, very good player. Averaged 31 last year. There's a lot of guys that fall into this category where he got one score above 100 out of 660 runs. So he'll be hoping to do better. He's ticking on almost to 30 now, but averages about 31.5. So in danger of just becoming he's not a journeyman because he's just played at this one club, but to go on and play till you're 35, 36, you've got to be averaging more than what he is at the moment.
Yeah, it gives plenty to the club, doesn't he? Bless him. Ben Duckett, the name that everybody will know. Ben Duckett, he's hoping to get himself back in favour with the England selectors. He's got to be a key player for them, and still, I think, an up and coming player.
He is an up and coming player. You forget he's only 23 years old. He's quite bold. He's quite brash. He's recently been pouring pints over Jimmy Anderson's head. He finished the championship season on fire last year, getting 193 against Sussex in September. Not always an easy thing to do in the English conditions, but 800 runs, an average of 42. He's trying to turn around and say, hey, look, I am not just a one-day international player. I'm a 3-format player. He's played test matches for England and failed, unfortunately. Played 4 test matches and scored 110 runs at an average of 15, but let's take into account where he was playing. He was actually playing in Bangladesh and in India. So if he's going to put himself in and have a decent start and get himself in good graces with the England books, then let's give him a shot somewhere other than the subcontinent where he wouldn't have played before.
Yeah, and maybe opening the batting in international is maybe not what's going to be for him, especially not in the longer form of the game. One young player we just want to mention as well, Saif Zaib. He's not really made a name for himself in county cricket yet, but he's a very young fella, born 98. He became the youngest player, the first 15-year-old ever to represent the county's first team back in 2014. So precocious talent, left-arm spinner, middle-order batsman. Back in a couple of years ago, 2016, he got himself a half-century unbeaten and a 5 for in a long spell against Leicestershire. So, he played a little bit last year in T20. He's somebody that we're hoping potentially will kick on and get more opportunities this year, but that's a nice name just to keep an eye on. 9-1, the bookies think they're going to be in the conversation, and I think they will be again. Right, Sussex, they finished 4th last season in Division 2, the penultimate team. Captained by Ben Brown, the keeper batsman, very important player for them in the Championship, and he's captaining the One Day Cup as well. Luke Wright taking the reins in the T20. Overseas play, they've got Indian long-haired larrikin Ishant Sharma coming in April to early June. They've also got the fastest wicket taker to 100, isn't it Rashid Khan in T20? So that's the correct. Afghani youngster. New signing, they've not really brought anyone in. They have lost Chris Nash, the old opener, to Nottinghamshire, and the bowler Steve McGoffin has moved to Worcestershire. They're going to compete, I think, this year. Very strong bowling unit. They've got big names in it, like Chris Jordan, Timur Mills, etc. And they've also got Jason Gillespie as their head coach. So I think they're going to be in the conversation to have a big season. Shall we have a look at the squad, Rob?
Yeah, let's run through it.
Let's look. So we've got Michael Burgess, Harry Finch, Timur Mills, Chris Jordan, Delray Rawlins, a very exciting young talent that we want to talk about, Luke Wright, Abhi Sikandar, George Garton, another one that we want to talk about, Will Beer, Tom Haynes, Danny Briggs, Jofra Archer, names everywhere in this squad, Ollie Robinson, Ben Brown, Phil Salt, Stuart Whittingham, Luke Wells, Laurie Evans, Stian Van Zyl and David Weiser, 2 South African Colpacks. So, where do you want to start, Rob? Luke Wells, Ben Brown?
I want to start with Ishant Sharma, because I think this is
wouldn't you?
Very, very good signing. Delhi-born, 29 years old. He's got huge shoes to fill. You're taking over Vernon Philander, who is an incredible cricketer and also averaged 52 with a bat. So there's work for Sharma to do. But incredibly, Sharma is an 81 Test match veteran now with 234 wickets at an average of 35. And when he's been at his best, he's bowling 150 clicks and he's been causing people like Ricky Ponting problems. The guy likes bounce. He's a decent bowler. He did well for India against South Africa and he did well for India against Sri Lanka before that. And he's just coming off a stint playing back at Delhi in first class limited A cricket. So, huge signing. Definitely rate him. And Ishant Sharma playing in Division 2 of the County Championship. I'm quite excited to see what damage he can do.
Yeah, well, keeping it with the bowlers then, seems as though you wanted to start with the bowlers, Rob. What else have we got here then? You tell me what else we should be looking out for with these bowlers. Jofra Archer, for example, he's an up-and-coming talent, isn't he? Getting all the headlines this winter with his stints in the Big Bash and now, obviously, in the IPL.
Yeah, it's an incredible story, Jofra Archer, really. He's only played 20 first-class games, of which 13 was last year. And just last year, he just, bang, hit it going. 61 wickets in the Championship at an average of 25. But it's not only that, he scored 638 runs with the bat at an average of 45 as well. He just had an incredible year. So his overall career stats is averaging 26 with a ball, 37 with a bat, at just turned 23 years old.
Top talent, isn't he? George Garton as well, another up-and-coming seamer.
Yeah, Garton, very, very young. Just played the 2 games last year, but managed to pick up 9 wickets at an average of 29. Left arm fast. And I say fast, he's fast. 9 career games, 23 wickets for the county, 36 average. He's played England Lions. He played a game against Jamaica back in February as one of the warm-ups. Got 2 for 13 there. But he finished the season well. 3 wickets in an innings against Derbyshire and 5 wickets in the game against Sussex to finish the season.
Okay. So moving on to the batting then. Luke Wells and captain Ben Brown. They're going to be expecting a lot from those boys.
Yeah, definitely. Wells had an exceptional season last year. 1,292 runs. The most in Division 2 cricket, a highest of 258, 4 centuries to go alongside it. He's 27 years old. He's actually played a bit of cricket for Colombo Cricket Club as well. You might like that.
Love that. Yeah, good on him. What about the 2 Colpacks? Do we know much about these? Stian Van Zyl and David Weiser, Rob?
Van Zyl is top draw. Absolutely top draw. 1,000 runs last year, average of 48. The more I look at this team, the more I don't understand why they got promoted. It's obviously a clinical thing. They managed to lose 5 games with a team that has this much quality. So they need to be a bit more clinical this year. Van Zyl, he's played 12 test matches, averages 45 with 10,000 career first-class runs. He's a very, very good player.
Yeah, and one other player I just want to mention as well, Delray Rawlins, the Bermudan-born slow left arm, but he's a left-handed batsman and he's an attacking batsman. He's an exciting player. He's somebody that we need to keep an eye on. I believe he's going to, a bit like Jofra Archer. I believe that he's obviously on the pathway to becoming, a future English international, I'm sure. Talk to us about Delray Rawlins, Rob. What do we know?
Yeah, very young, very raw. Like you said, 20 years old. He's played international cricket for Bermuda as well. He played for their under-15s, under-19s. Only played 6 first-class games, just the 1 wicket, and a top score of 96 for 245 runs. But the end of the season was promising. He got 40-odd in a second-team game. He's got 60-odd in the Championship. And then he went on to play final game of the season against Nottinghamshire, got 55 in that game, but then did well in the North versus South. He got a 50 in that game as well. So plenty to play for, and people just want to see him go and play his natural game, but with the people that he's got around him, like the Wells and the Van Zyls, he's in great, great company to take some of those learnings and input it into his own game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be an exciting season for Sussex. Finished 4th last year. I think they're going to be there or thereabouts again this year. 5-1 of the odds. Jason Gillespie's head coach. He knows how to win. I think we could be talking about these boys at really pushing it to get promoted. Warwickshire, they finished last, bottom in Division 1 last season, relegated rightfully so to Division 2. Captain this season, Jeetan Patel, he's taken the captaincy for the Championship as well as the One Day Cup. Grant Elliott is the T20 captain. So overseas players, obviously Jeetan Patel again, he's in all formats for all season, and they're also bringing in Colin de Grandhomme from New Zealand for the T20. They've brought in Will Rhodes from Yorkshire. So it's a decent little pickup for them, but they have lost Atiq Javid to Leicestershire and William Porterfield, the old Scottish captain. So difficult season last year, obviously with relegation, but probably I'd say a blessing in disguise for this squad. They've not really lost much from the playing staff, really what you'd talk about, and they can build with younger players again, similar to Worcestershire last season. So they'll be hoping to challenge, Rob. Where do we see the keys for this Warwickshire side?
Part of my problem with the Warwickshire team is it's not changed a lot in the last 5 or 6 years. We're still seeing a lot of the same, and these guys obviously failed at Division 1 last year, but you look at guys you've got Ian Trott, you've got Westwood, you've got Ian Bell. Yeah, that's part of your top 6. You've got Tim Ambrose, former England keeper, keeping wicket. You know, these are experienced international, top-level cricketers that I would be shocked if they failed at Division 2.
Yeah, I mean, the runs are going to be there, aren't they? Trott, Bell, for a start, there's runs there most definitely. Sam Hain, though, what about Sam Hain? He's an exciting talent. Brought up in Australia, wasn't he? But he struggled. When he first came in, he did really, really well with red ball. Then he's lost his way a bit, but white ball, he's been unbelievable.
Yeah, that's right.
But he seems to have clicked. Ashley Giles, the coach, was saying that he just needed a little bit of a tweak in technique, and he's starting to show over this winter that he's coming back. And he is somebody that you need to look out for in this Warwickshire squad.
Yeah, we've spoke about him a bit on the podcast because we're a big fan of what he can go on and do. He's the third youngest man in the history of the county championship to ever make a double century. Born in Hong Kong, not Australia. I thought it was Australia as well.
No, Hong Kong, but then brought up in Australia, I think.
Yeah, that's right. He went and played over at Queensland. Averages 57 in List A cricket, 33.51 in first class cricket. Now, it is a big season for this man. He's young. He's 22 years old. But his last year's numbers were just not good. 216 runs at an average of 15 from 8 games. He is a much, much better cricketer than that. Scored 140 not out for the MCC against Essex. Got a 50 and a 48 in the North versus South games. A big 140 for England Lions against West Indies A and a 50 not out. Top draw player. This has got to be his year. I can see it.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it? I know one of our friends would be delighted if that's the case, Mr. Tall.
He would.
Key players, though. Jeetan Patel, you can't look past him when you're looking at this Warwickshire squad.
Nah, Jeetan Patel's an absolute legend in Warwickshire parts. He's 37. He's almost 38 years old when the season kicks off. Quite
still
incredible.
Doing it, though.
Still going, and he's been at Warwickshire for so many years. 757 first-class wickets at an average of 33. And he's only played for 2 counties, really. He's played for Warwickshire and he's played for Wellington his whole career. And he's basically made himself a county journeyman without the trials and tribulations. He goes from one summer to the next. He's got it made.
Definitely. What else have we got with this Warwickshire squad then? I mean, bowling-wise, Chris Wright, I believe, Oliver Hannon, Dolby's there, Chris Wokes, obviously, we know all about him. But Jeetan Patel, obviously, is going to be key to that bowling unit. Keith Barker, though. Keith Barker's somebody I know that you're a big fan of.
I am a big fan of Keith Barker, and if anyone's played Football Manager, back in 2007 Football Manager, he was at Blackburn, but he was on loan at Rochdale, and I'm a lifelong Rochdale fan. So when I found out Keith Barker is playing a bit of cricket, I thought, okay, let's see if he's any good. Well, the answer is, yeah, he's not bad at all. He's now 31 years old, so he's made an actual career of being a cricketer. Averaged 30 with the bat last year. With the ball, averaged 36, 26 wickets. But he's good. He's a decent player. Made his debut all the way back in 2009. So that's when he decided to go, hey, I'm going to try and make a go of this cricket thing. Awesome. Ex-Rochdale player. Can't beat it.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ollie Stone as well, he's another one that's it's interesting young player. And youth is the key really this year. You know, people like Dominic Sibley, Adam Hose, Will Rhodes, obviously they've brought in Ed Pollock, Aaron Thomason. They're all there. And Ollie Stone, like I say, he's a quick bowler that's somebody who hopefully will be making a few headlines this year.
Yeah, incredibly, he topped the batting average last year. I'm just going to put that out there from his one game with average of 39.
Brilliant.
Not the thing you expect to see. Just the one game last year, 1 wicket at 70, but he's much better than that. 24 years old, can bowl 90 mile an hour, which is a huge thing for any team that wants a fast bowler. He is right arm fast. 73 wickets at an average of 31 overall in his first class career.
Yeah, the bookies 9-2. They see a big, strong challenge from this Warwickshire group. So we shall see. They've got the big batters, the Trotts and Bells of this world, and they've got the bowling attack. So you would expect that they will be there or thereabouts. So that wraps us up. That is the 10 sides. All we need to do now, Rob, is plonk them in order and tell you who's going to win. Right then, so like we did with Division 1, let's run through our one to bottom and see that. And we're going to start from the bottom again, Rob. So I'm going to just pick my bottom 2. So, and then I'll let you pick yours, and we'll work our way up. So in last place, I'm going Derbyshire. This is nothing to do with me being a Notts fan, but Derbyshire are going to be propping everybody up, with Leicestershire making that leap from 10 to 9.
I think we're quite closely aligned. but not like twinism. We're not quite there. So I've gone Leicestershire, unfortunately, propping up the table again, shortly followed by Derby. It's a bad time for Midlands countries.
It is. The East Midlands, they're forever in the shadow of Trent Bridge. Sorry, people. Right, 8, I'm going Gloucestershire.
Gloucestershire as well.
Wow, okay. Number 7, I've gone Durham.
I've gone Glamorgan.
Okay, well, in 6, I've got Glamorgan.
Durham.
Well, so our 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 is shuffled, but basically we've got the same team. So on to the top 5.
Yeah.
Who just tips the balance into the top of the table? Kent at number 5 for me.
Kent at 5 for me.
Whoa, this is good. Number 4, sorry, Torley, Warwickshire.
Oh, number 4, I've gone Northamptonshire.
Wow, I've got Northamptonshire just missing out again. More heartbreak for Northants. Number 3.
Oh, I've gone Warwickshire at 3. So we're aligned on 1 and 2 again.
So which is more heartbreak for Warwickshire? Finishing 3rd or 4th? I reckon 4th. Okay, so the top 2, we've both got Sussex and Middlesex, but in what order? I believe that Middlesex will be runners-up, so therefore my champions are the Ben Brown-led Sussex.
We are absolutely aligned. I've gone Sussex and Middlesex. That's quite incredible. First division, we were slightly... We were close, but we had different champions. But we had the same bottom 1-2 in Division 1, and we had different champions, whereas this, we're very, very aligned. Other than the mid-table, a few just edge around left, right and centre.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I was surprised with that, did I? Say Division 1, we were all over the shop, really, weren't we? So that's good. So that's Division 2. That's what's going to happen. So you can pretty much just don't watch any cricket for the summer. You know what's going to happen anyway. Just pick it up at the end of the year and move on. Or if you want to watch it, it gets kicking off this Friday the 13th. Not every team, but there are county championship games up and running from Friday. How much cricket's going to be played? Massive question. There is more water around than an Australian press conference.
Wow, that's quite incredible. So, guys, you let us know who you think is going to win Division 1 and let us know who you think is going to win Division 2. Stay tuned because the IPL podcast will be dropping in a couple of days where we'll review the first 7 or 8 games of the season that's been going on. I know you guys are very, very excited for that. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, drop a 5-star review and get your name on the podcast, just like our main man Shankar did at the top of the podcast. Anything else from yourself, Rich?
No, I think we've got that covered now, mate.
Excellent. It's been a great time. You guys stay legendary. Until next time.